Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hamzi bin Muhammad Desa. Matric number is 263722. Today I would like to present about opening and advising. For opening, it refers to the activity of applying the documentary credit from the financial institution or banks. It relates to the banks or financial institution and the buyer or importer. Usually, bank will ask the importer to fill up the documents with the necessary information to formalize the application of the documentary credit. For advising, it refers to the activity of delivering documentary credit from the opening bank to the beneficiary. Usually, it involves financial institution or banks and the exporter or beneficiary. The responsibility is to communicate with the necessary parties regarding the information that state in the documentary credit itself. This simple flow chart to issuing the documentary credit, whereby the importer will approach his bank to issue or open the documentary credit to send to the beneficiary. Issuing bank will send to the beneficiary via advising bank, and advising bank will notify the beneficiary either they receive or not receive the documentary credit itself.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Amir Iqmal bin Abdul Aziz. My matric number is 26580. Next is about amendment. The documentary credit cannot be amended or cancelled without the agreement of the three parties, which is issuing bank, confirming bank, beneficiary. Role of issuing bank is to issue and amend documentary credit. At the time the amendment is issued, the issuing bank is bound both by the terms and conditions of the original documentary credit, as well as the terms and conditions of the documentary credit as amended. For the confirming bank, the confirmation applies to the original documentary credit. For that reason, the confirming bank may choose to advise the amendment to defer to the beneficiary by either extending its confirmation to the amendment or without extending its confirmation to the amendment. The beneficiary is the one that is entitled to draw under the documentary credit, which makes them the main party to accept or reject the amendment. The nominated bank is not on the list of parties that can accept or reject an amendment unless a nominated bank is the confirming bank. All parties do not know the actual terms and conditions of the documentary credit and until the time where the amendment is accepted or rejected. The beneficiary can accept an amendment in two different ways, which are by communicating its acceptance of the amendment to the bank that advised the amendment, or by making a presentation that complies with the documentary credit and which the not yet accepted amendment. The beneficiary also can reject the amendment in two different ways, which are by communicating its rejection of the amendment to the bank that advised the amendment. As of that time, the documentary credit is not amended, or by partially accepting an amendment. Partial acceptance of an amendment is not allowed and will be deemed to be notification of rejection of the amendment. When receiving an amendment, the confirming bank has two options when advising it to the beneficiary. First, it may extend its confirmation to the amendment and will be irrevocably bound as of the time it advises the amendment. Second, it may advise the amendment without extending its confirmation. In such case, it must inform the issuing bank without delay and inform the beneficiary in its advice. Lastly, a bank that advised an amendment should inform the bank from which it received the amendment of any notification of acceptance or rejection. So, That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum and hi, especially to my fellow friend and my lecturer. My name is Jasmanizat bin Hassan, metric number 262083. So I'm going to give an explanation about the assignment of proceeds, and then after this presentation of the documentary of credit. As you guys can see, this is the assignment of the proceeds. I take Worldwide Agent Ltd as a beneficiary, Transit Bank Ltd nominated conforming bank, Useful Computer Ltd as the applicant, and then the Laptop Co Ltd as the supplier. And the last one is Forward Bank Ltd as a issuing bank. Okay, so basically in the above example, an agreement is reached between Laptop Co and Worldwide Agent Ltd that an assignment of proceed will be put in place to facilitate a payment to Laptop Co for goods that they will hand over to Worldwide Agent Ltd for shipment to Useful Computer Ltd. And then after that, Laptop Co Ltd may not be aware of the final buyer of its good. Worldwide Agent Ltd informed that the nominated conforming bank or Transit Bank Ltd of the assignment of proceeds and request that it take a note for instruction to make a certain payment to Laptop Co Ltd once compliant document have been presented and honor or negotiation as occurred. Um, Transit Bank Ltd acknowledge receipt of the notice of assignment to both Worldwide Agent and Laptop Co. And then the Worldwide Agent Ltd then arrange the shipment of the goods to the Useful Computer, and then they will proceed to present the required document under the credit, and if in compliance with the term and condition of credit, Transit Bank Ltd will honor or negotiate and effect settlement according to the conditions stated in the notice of assignment. And then we go to the presentation of documentary of credit. Basically, presentation is the procedure whereby the presenting bank makes the documents available to the drawee as instructed. Basically, drawee is a importer in this transaction. Okay, so the first of all, the collection instruction should state that the exact period of time within which any action is to be taken by the importer. Document are presented to the importer in the form in which they are received, except the bank are authorized to fix any necessary step at the expenses of the party from whom they receive the collection. Basically, expressions such as first, prompt, intermediate, and the like should not be used in a connection with presentation or with reference to any period of time within which documents have to be taken up or for any other action that is to be taken by the importer. If such terms are used, bank will disregard them. Then the third one is for the purpose of giving effect to the instruction of the principal, the remitting bank will utilize the bank nominated by the principal as the collecting bank. And then the document and the collection instruction may be sent directly by the remitting bank to the collection bank or through another bank as an intermediary. In the absence of such nomination, and remiting bank will utilize any bank of its own or another bank's choice in the country of payment or acceptance, or in the country where other terms and conditions have to be complied with. And then the last one is the if the remitting bank does not nominate a specific presenting bank, the collecting bank may utilize a presenting bank of its choice. So that's all from my part. Thank you.
Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Azamuddin bin Muhammad Azhari. My matter number is 265209. Inshallah, for today I will present about the discrepancy and the resolving of the discrepancy. So for the first is the inconsistency in document. UCP, or we can know as the Uniform Custom of Practice for the commentary credit, state that data in the document, when read in the context with the credits, the document itself and international standards banking practice need to not identical, but must be conflict with the data in the document, any stipulated document of the credits. So if the bank find inconsistency between document, they will raise a discrepancy. So for the second is the incorrect data. For the incorrect data is the information any one of the document presented is not comply with the letter of credit term in the conditions. Bank will examine the document under the letter of credit according to the letter of rules. Under the letter of credit rules, in order to determine whether the presentation is complying or not. According to the Article 2, a complying presentation means that the presentation in the accordance with the terms, conditions of the credits, the applicable provision of the UCP 600 in international standards banking practice. As a result, if bank find out that at least one of the letter of credit condition is not indicated on the presented document, they will raise the discrepancy. So for the third is the late presentation. For the late presentation is the document presentation later than 21 days after shipment, or after the number of days stipulated in the letter of credits. If the credits is silenced on the latest days of presentation, then you have to present. We have to present our letter of credit document within 21 days after the date of shipment. But please keep in our mind that this period can be shorter than the credit, because of as a result we need to read the credit very carefully in order to determine our presentation period. So for the fourth is the absence of document. For the absence of the document, document requires by the letter of credit is missing. This the situation. Missing document discrepancy may also cover insufficiency of original document presentation. For example, the UCP 600 demands presentation of all original insurance document if the insurance document states that it issued more than one original. It is clear that insurance document that is with the two original, then the beneficiary has to present both original of the insurance document. If beneficiary presents only one original instead of two originals, then the issuing bank risks absence of document discrepancy. So for the last is incorrect description of the goods. Description of the goods indicated on the invoice and other trades document differs from the description of goods stated in the credits. According to the international standards banking practice, the description of the goods service of the performance shown in on invoice is to correspond with the description shown in the credit. So there is no requirement for the mirror page. For example, detail of the goods may be stated in a number of areas within the invoice which when read together represent a description of the good of corresponding to that the credit. So a good description indicated on any other documents may be generous term not be in conflict with the good specification of the credits. So if the bank determines that the description of the good is not corresponding, so the letter of credit may be so the letter of the credit they will raise incorrect description of the good discrepancy to the itu issued by the company. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Nurdin bin Ahmad Sakri. Matric number is 263798. So today I will present about liability and responsibilities. The first point is the beneficiary is entitled to payment as long as he can provide the documentary evidence required by the letter of credit, which means the beneficiary can get the payment if they fulfill the requirement in order to do the document credit. Next, the issuing bank is not responsible for the execution of the underlying contract between the buyer and the seller. So the issuing bank will not take the responsible even if the document is proven invalid or they have fraud within the contract. Next, the obligation of the issuing bank to the applicants is to inspect all documents to ensure that the document comply with the term and condition of credit. Which means, so in order to prevent the seller and the buyer make a mistake or they have some fraud or invalid, the bank have to make sure or the bank have to check all the document that have been given, and then if the bank make the mistake during the check the document, the bank will take responsible. And another example, if bank late to pay the payment to the beneficiary, the bank have to take responsible. And lastly, if the seller beneficiary comply with the letter of credit, the seller must be paid by the bank. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Nur Aiman bin Ahmad Tamigi. My metric number is 262545. So, in conclusion, documented credit, or also known as a letter of credit, are an arrangement by banks for settling international commercial transaction or trade. Documented credit provide a form of security for the parties who involve. It is to ensure that payment provided that the terms and conditions of the credit have been fulfilled. It means that that payment by such method is based on document only and not on merchandise or services involved or underlying commercial contract. However, it should be noted that a documentary credit is not a contract between buyer and seller, not a guarantee that the seller will definitely receive payment, and not a guarantee that the buyer will receive the goods he ordered. There are three important points to remember in documentary credit. First, credit are separate from a contract on which they may be used. Second, in documentary credit operation, all parties deal only in document. Lastly, a documentary credit is a means to facilitate the settlement of international trade transactions. Thank you.